Hello and welcome to this art time-lapse video. Today I'm going to be drawing mermaids for Mermay. I'm not doing all of Mermay as I do not feel like drawing 31 mermaids. They just don't interest me that much. But they interest me enough that I want to draw like 7 of them. So here it is. First you'll see me drawing one mermaid that I actually don't like that much when I get into it. So I get rid of it, but for now we can look at it as just kind of a sketch, feeling out the program. Maybe kind of a warm-up. Maybe this is a warm-up sketch. I don't know. I think I did warm-ups before this though. Not really anything special, but as you can see, I can't really get the arms right. So I decide just to get rid of it. Plus, I kind of think that the second composition that I go with is a little more interesting than just seeing the back of some mermaids' heads. Though I did really want to draw like a bunch of fish tails, cause I think koi are beautiful fish, and it would have been sweet to draw a bunch of them. And maybe it would have been stunning to people looking at it, but I drew the front of the mermaid more, which is also kind of stunning to some people. Some people like looking at women, so I drew a bunch of mermaids. As you can see, she's holding out her hands. This is a drawing of kind of my idea of what koi mermaids would act like if they were in a pond being taken care of by somebody else, maybe a human. In this picture, it's a human taking care of them. But, like, you know when you look at koi fish ponds and somebody goes to feed them, they all open their mouths and they look at you and they want you to put food in their mouths. Well, this is kind of like that, except it's mermaids. So they're not opening their mouths, they're holding out their hands because they want those delicious fish pellets. Now, I'm not sure if in this world these koi mermaids are just a hobbyists, like a guy just taking care of mermaids for fun, or because he's obligated to, but there is also the off chance that these mermaids belong to a professional koi breeder or koi shower who has these koi mermaids, and they're worth, well, koi fish in real life are worth thousands of dollars, but I would imagine that a koi mermaid would cost millions because, you know, it's a person. Kinda. I don't know, is that like human trafficking? Maybe this world is kinda messed up and they have mermaid trafficking. Maybe this isn't as nice of a picture as thought. But it is what it is. All art isn't meant to be nice art. But anyway, I tried to give all these mermaids some kind of personality. Just to make it a little more interesting. Here I'm drawing the fish tails. Just kind of all over the place. Not really connecting to the mermaids that we see. So maybe it's implying that there are even more mermaids that I didn't even draw. It's hard to imagine how big a pond would have to be if it was filled with koi mermaids, because koi fish require like a lot of water per fish. So maybe it's like a giant lake full of these mermaids. Here I'm drawing the human caretaker, and I get kind of overzealous and I draw more of what I need to. So eventually I crop the image. There we go. I crop it so that I don't have to draw as much of the human. Because the human isn't really the focus of the picture, it's the mermaids. So I just wanted to draw his legs. In fact, I wanted to draw even less of him, but I ended up drawing maybe like a third of him, which isn't too bad. I finally start lining. The sketch is probably the fastest part, in a way. Especially if you know what you're doing. Your sketches probably shouldn't take that long, but I don't know. This one took a while because it has a lot of different characters in it. They say one of the hardest things to draw is two characters interacting. So, and I drew like a lot of them interacting. Not to toot my own horn or anything, I'm just saying it as like a matter of fact. That's how many mermaids I drew. There's at least 7 in the picture. Well, there's 9 if you count like the 2 little faces that I drew that you can't really see much of. But there might be even more than that. It's like an infinite amount of mermaids. One thing I'm trying not to do with this picture is to zoom in when I'm making it. Because I have a bad habit of zooming in and trying to make every single line absolutely perfect when I don't have to, because the image is going to get shrunk down anyways, the resolution is going to be dropped and all that. But I still am a perfectionist in that way, that I want every line to connect properly and all that. So as you'll notice, I am not zooming in. I picked a pen weight or pen size, whatever, and I went with it. Also, I did not sketch out every single detail that I end up putting with the line art, which probably made the line art take a lot longer than it should have, because I did not sketch out any of these hair styles. I just kind of came up with them on the spot, and I think they turned out good, but it probably would have been easier on myself if I spent the time and sketched them out. But I did not do that. So, and that's okay. As long as it turned out alright in the end, it's alright. This mermaid that I'm drawing now, I wasn't exactly the happiest with, because I didn't get to draw much of her face, so she kind of gets lost in the details. But not every mermaid had to be, like, perfect. And I also kind of messed up when I was trying to connect her arm to the rest of her body, like her shoulder and stuff. So I just hid it with some hair. 'Cause that's what artists do. They just they struggle with drawing something and then they cover it up with something else. Like how when beginner artists, or even, I don't know, maybe even more skilled artists, they just kind of draw the hands behind the back and they don't have to worry about it. What I want to experiment with more is line weight. I didn't use much differing line weight in this image, and I haven't used line weight in a long time because I want the lines to be like absolutely perfect, but I know line weight can add more character to a drawing. But this pen that I'm using, I got it from a pack. I don't remember which one it is off the top of my head, but I bought it from a pack that was on sale. And it came with like a billion brushes, and I installed them all. But I didn't use any of them, and they just cluttered up everything, so I was like, I'm just gonna keep the one that I use, and I'm gonna have these other ones in case I want to use them. So I uninstalled them, but I still have them. I wanted some diversity with my mermaids, so I just drew them. Oh, there I zoomed in, but I was like, no, I'm not gonna zoom in. But I wanted diversity with my mermaids, which you'll see more of when I go to color them. So I gave them different hairstyles, and, well, not really different hairstyles, but different hair types. I imagine that mermaids would have a hard time cutting their hair, even though they probably have a hard time taking care of their hair because they're underwater all the time. But I imagine that they have an even harder time cutting their hair, and maybe in this world, long hair on a koi mermaid is considered the best. So, I don't know. A lot of mermaids just magically got filled in, but it's because I forgot to record when I was starting drawing, and thankfully I noticed very quickly. But at the same time, I still wish I had recorded that, even though it would have made for just a few seconds in this video. But hopefully in the future I don't make that mistake many more times. Here I make a mistake because I wanted that blue to be on a different layer, so you'll see me just get rid of all the blue. Like, I undo everything and I get it all on the right layer, and everything is right, so it all worked out. Here I'm starting like the actual coloring, or the painting, whatever you want to call it. I don't really consider it painting, I just consider it coloring when it comes to my own art. If you want to call it painting, I don't care. But, well, I mean, I do care, but I don't worry about it. But here I'm going to start coloring, and I go to color in the grass. But you see, the problem is that I'm sitting outside at this point, and I can't see anything because it's too bright. I decided to do this during the daytime when the sun is shining and you can't see the screen. You know, when you go out on the phone and you're looking at the internet and whatever, and you can't see it because the sun is glaring on your screen. So I just kind of draw a lot of squiggles, hoping that I can see them, hoping that they look good. And I think in the end they did turn out good, so it worked out. In a way, the glare of the sun was kind of a blessing because I had to use more contrasting colors than I usually would, just so I could see them while I was drawing. I'm gonna color the bricks here, and I wanted the bricks to be kind of vibrant, so I use a lot of different colors on them. Well, actually, I only use 3 different colors on them, but they're pretty different colors, so I think it turned out good. For shading, I'm using a dull purple, and I'm gonna be putting it on a multiply layer over everything that I want to shade. And I kind of get a little crazy with it. I draw a lot of shadows on the grass that don't really have anything making a shadow, but it's what I did, so what can I say? Now I start to actually go in to color this shoe, which I had a hard time with because I couldn't see it at all because of the sun, but it turned out alright. I didn't add much detail to the man feeding them because I didn't want it to be like distracting or anything. But I finally start painting or coloring the koi mermaids, which was what I was looking forward to the whole time. You know, when you draw something and you're like, oh boy, I love drawing the face, but first I gotta draw the body and the hands and all of that, and then I can draw the face. Or maybe you're one of those artists who just draws the face and doesn't worry about drawing anything else, or maybe you draw the face first. I don't know. I used to be like that. I love drawing faces, which is probably why I like drawing this so much. I like to draw a lot of different faces, and I also kind of enjoy drawing hands. I know that's something a lot of people struggle with. When I'm picking colors, I don't actually pick the colors from anything. I just kinda guess. I'm kinda lazy like that. I just guess what colors would look good. And if they don't look good, I get rid of them. But if they look good, then it all works out. I like to add a little bit of variation to skin tones, or variation to the skin coloring. Like here I'm adding blush and stuff to like the elbows and the cheeks. Also, still trying not to zoom in. When you zoom in, you like see things too closely and you can make anatomy mistakes because you're just not, like, you could draw the hand way too small or something just because you're kind of zoomed in. Like when you draw traditionally, you can see the whole thing that you're drawing, unless if it's really big, I guess. But usually if you're drawing in like a sketchbook, then you can see everything and you won't have much of that problem. Here I finally get to shade the mermaids, which is also one of my favorite parts. I love shading things. I love giving dramatic lighting to things. This drawing was not one with dramatic lighting, which is okay. I still like it. And I still had a good time shading it. I think the shading adds a lot to it. Like if you have a drawing and you think it looks bad, try adding some shading. Sometimes the shading can make it look worse, especially if you do it wrong. But usually, especially with like perspective drawings, shading or contour lines can add a lot to it. Here I start to do the water, which was hard because I don't draw water. I don't paint water. I just don't do it. So I was kind of getting out of my comfort zone with this. But in the end, I think it turned out alright. Also, I went with like a dark turquoise color because I wanted the water to look murky, like an actual pond and not like crystal clear. Because I think koi fish like tannins in the water. Like, I think most fish do. But so I gave the water a little oomph, a little color, rather than just blue. I also I also made some kind of layer effect on the water, but I don't know what. It's like, it's one of the ones in the drop down of Clip Studio Paint. I can't see it in my little video preview I have here, so sorry about that if you wanted to know. If you really want to know, you can ask in the comments and I will let you know, because I will look it up. Or I won't look it up, but I will open up the file and see what it is. I wanted the water to look like it was bubbly or like swirling around because of the mermaids swimming in it. So that's why it's not like flat water. I think my favorite mermaid that I drew here is the one with the food with her tongue sticking up. That's my favorite one I drew, even though I didn't draw much of her. I like the way her hands came out, and I just like that one. But my favorite kind of koi is the asagi koi, which is, I drew one here, the mermaid with the blue hair. She's an asagi, because you can see she has the blue on her back. But I think we're just about done here. Here's where I color in the line art a little bit. I turn a little bit of it blue, just for some variation. I find that, oh, I guess we're done. There I added my signature, so. But there we go. I hope you liked this video, and I want you to have a great day.